Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Spookiest thing that happened to you personally. Let's get some stories out of there, boys. You have to have some stuff kicking around about how you saw an alien or a glimpse of a squatch. No, my brother, sister, cousin, friend 3 times removed stories. No skinwalker LARPs. Let 'em rip.
Be me, a Marine invading Iraq in 2003. I have seen shadow people and had sleep paralysis my whole life. As a teenager, I learned to terminate or cast out these visions by doing algebra. I would wake up immediately. I never considered them real, just my brain playing terrifying tricks on me. Anyways, my infantry unit was set up for the night in an open field with some marsh grass at the edge, about 200 meters away. We had been up for about 2 days, and the moon was low. It was my turn to sleep for a handful of hours. I find a nice spot facing the grass next to my Humvee and lay down with my poncho liner and rifle. Feel safe because the guy in the Humvee turret has a thermal sight and can see for miles in total darkness. It is so good it can see where people have walked or touched things from the residual heat. There is another Marine walking around with a radio too. This is about as safe as it gets. Fall asleep on my side facing the grass immediately. Then I wake up, looking at the grass in the moonlight. I see a dark figure backlit by the moon emerge from the grass slowly. I try to grab my rifle, but I am paralyzed. I try to get up, but I can't move. This is it. I'm so tired my mind refuses to move the body, even though I can see a threat coming. I start doing algebra in my head. I am lucid enough to know this might be sleep paralysis, or it might not. It isn't working. The figure is coming closer, crouched over and headed straight for me. I try the quadratic equation, where A equals 1, B equals 2, and C equals 0. I crunch the numbers, and I still don't wake up. I am panicking at this point. I am wondering why no one is shooting this obvious infiltrator. Did they fall asleep too? I try crunching another quadratic equation, but the black figure with a heavy outline and noiseless steps is upon me and aims a stick-looking thing with the color of the blackest black. It flashes and I hear a thunderous crack and boom. My vision goes black, but my legs spasm. I can move. I am not dead. I can end this dude with 2 shots to the chest. Never have I gotten up that fast in my life before or since. I bring my rifle up as I spring up. The poncho liner flew off me, and my vision returned to see nothing in front of me. Looking around frantically for my enemy, I found no one except the 2 men on guard watching me. "Have you lost your fucking mind?" the Marine roving around asked me. My reply was someone just tried to shoot me, but I knew it was sleep paralysis or a shadow person. Feeling like I had lost my mind, I apologized for being crazy and went back to sleep. Nothing else happens that night except some Iraqis trying to mortar us while we are leaving. It bugged me when my mind wasn't focused on the immediate tasks of combat. Why had my math trick failed me? Later on, we found out the anti-malarial pills given to us caused nightmares and possibly brain damage. Further on, we learned that the area we were in was where ancient pre-pottery humans would sacrifice people by driving nail-shaped rocks into their head to appease their gods, supposedly. Every other time after, my algebra trick worked. The war really sucked. I will spare you the gory details, but I had more encounters and hallucinations in my travels there, amidst the near-endless watches and the episodes of violence I was involved in. People sensitive to spiritual stuff say I changed when I came back, or I had an aura that was hard to identify. Mostly that was what I considered nonsense and tarot pack medium stuff. However, even people that did not know me before the conflict say I have something following me. There might be something to it, because when shadow people or visions during sleep paralysis come to me, math is no longer what I do anymore. I tell them to do their worst and laugh at them in my paralysis. The once terrifying assaults of shadow people tapered off, and soon we would just gaze upon each other in my house until I told them to fuck off. I had given up on denying they were real because they were real in the world where I dream. Nightmares still happen, but they are just that, nightmares. Every couple weeks I used to get visited, but around 2011 I started attacking them when I saw them. After a while I started prevailing in these sleepy scuffles. Pretty sure a couple were killed the last time they came around. I bit and strangled them while I laughed. It has been a while since they last bothered me. Sometimes I think it could be because I am not afraid to go to the other side. That is about when people I spent time with started saying their houses had poltergeists. Someone said things didn't start falling off shelves until she met me. I don't know what to think. I hope it isn't me doing it. But people with sleep paralysis I share beds with don't see them. Sometimes, though, I wonder if I have become something terrible. I have become a bit of a degenerate and enjoy touring the woods at night by moonlight.
For some reason, black animals seem to make unusual appearances in my life. 10-year-old kid camping with my parents. Out in the lake early in the morning. Not religious. Wasn't raised in a religious household. Thinking about life and think to myself something like, if God's real, a fish will swim up to me, or something like that. A little black, 2 or 3 inch fish appears out of the murky water and sits there. It doesn't try to swim away when I cup it in my hands. This really happened, and I don't even really tell anyone because who would believe me? It's unprovable. When I got married, a weird all-black turkey vulture showed up and wouldn't leave even when shooed, or the kids approached it. The lady at the venue said she's never seen it before. This one is less paranormal, but felt kinda odd for some reason. On a trip in Yosemite with in-laws and having trouble relating to them. This stresses me out because I'm introverted, and it's hard to make good impressions. Only part of the trip we're alone together without my brother and sister-in-law, who are pretty much the favorites. Get lucky and see a giant black bear, just posing close to the road, almost like it's waiting for us. I'm the only one who sees it, and they turn around after I tell them. Thing is majestic. No other cars notice, so we have a beautiful, private wild animal sighting they haven't seen before. Not long after it walks off out of view. It was magical, and we bond over it, and they always say it was a highlight of the trip.
Be in college renting a house with 3 others. Rental company is shit. Have an unfixed water leak for months. They shut our water off despite us calling them to come for maintenance. Get off work one day to find this out. Drive to university campus to work at the library. Got a 10-page paper due the next day. Needed coffee and running water to stay awake. Finish work at 3 a.m. Start to drive home. 30-minute drive back to my place back in the woods and shit. Speeding, 'cause I had to take a piss real bad. Please no cops.jpg. 10 minutes away from home, the 4-lane road splits off, and I have to make a left turn across traffic. Turn is notoriously shitty because 150 feet further down the road is a blind turn that leaves little room for error. If you try turning as someone is coming around that turn, they will hit you. About to make the left turn when I spot a deer just off the side of the road at the tree line. Enormous thing, like easily 2 times larger than any deer I've ever seen. He's on the very peripheral of my headlight beams just watching me. I'm watching him. Feel something strange like a chill in my bones. Snap out of it. Notice that a truck has come around the blind turn. Headlights coming dead at me. Accelerate hard and shift over 2 lanes. This truck goes through the turning lane where I was. If I hadn't checked in time, I'd be dead. Shift back over and look for the deer. It's gone. Drive home. shaking because of my near-death experience. The next day, I found out another student who lived up the road from me was killed in that turn lane at 4 a.m. by a truck who whipped around the corner and hit him head-on. Never saw another deer on that road ever again in the 3+ years that I lived there. Saw loads of turkeys, possums, raccoons, and stuff like that, but no deer.
10 years or so ago, I was driving and drifting on our ice track. I'm a Finn, with my friend sitting on the passenger seat. It is a beautiful sunny day, temperature a few degrees below freezing. On the corner of my eye, I spot what I first think to be a rabbit, running at full speed. White as appropriate for winter. And then, I actually look at it. It's not a rabbit. It doesn't even look like anything properly solid. The closest thing resembling it is the screensaver on old Windows systems that bounces this magnifying glass kind of distortion over the wallpaper. It's that. But 3-dimensional and 20 meters away, straight in front of us, distorting the snowy terrain, moving to our right at a brisk running pace. Well out of the way by the time we drive over the spot. After clearing the track, it distorts less and less, and disappears while well in view, in the middle of a frozen lake bed. Now, since I am a very curious character, after a prolonged moment of silence, I cannot help but ask my friend, "Did you see that?" He then proceeds to tell me that he thought about asking the same thing, but did not do so in order to not look completely insane. After comparing notes, we come to the conclusion that we saw the exact same thing, though the initial impression of a running rabbit was my interpretation alone. I have never been able to come up with a rational explanation, or heard of any natural phenomenon that could manifest itself as anything resembling what we saw. Case stands as unsolved.
I'll give you 3 since they all revolve around the same place and area. My father is from the countryside, probably the most sparsely populated county in the country. While his siblings moved out and didn't stay in the family home, my aunt built hers nearby so she could keep it in good shape so my family could stay when we visited. The house kept its gas, electricity, and running water. Other than when we visited and stayed for a weekend, the house was idle and alone in a very rural area. This house was never right to me, and I remember having horrendous nightmares about the house growing up. Being objective, most of the noises I heard in the house were either the boiler humming, the house settling, or just stuff in my head. Enough setting up, here's story numero 1. Be me. Be child at least 9 or 10 years old. Father used to read me Harry Potter before bed. Usually I slept in the family room with bunk bed and queen size, but for some reason I slept in my granda's room, not sure why. Father reads me a book and regularly checking in every few pages to see if I'm still awake. Look outside window to see a hairy set of hands on the windowsill, as if someone or something was preparing to peer in the window. Paralyzed with fear, cannot speak or move, fixated on the window. Father checks in and looks at me, annoyed that I haven't responded. Starts giving out about me not answering him when he asks a question. Father is literally too stupid to see me in a terrified trance staring at the window. He starts waving his arms around to grab my attention. I snap out of it and look away from the window, vowing to not look at it again. Father gets burned out from complaining, goes to bed. Don't sleep a wink that night, blankets overhead, shivering in sheer fear. Before you say it was a setup or prank, Father knows I've a huge fear of windows at night. Story 2. The house was on a rural laneway which came off an isolated road. If you drove past the house and kept going, you'd end up in some woods and boglands, middle of nowhere. Opposite the house on the lane is a gate into a field. Father grew up on a farm, so the surrounding fields were all farmlands. The fields closest to my father's house have belonged to other farmers since before I was born, though. Be around 7 years old and walking with my mother from the road up along the lane, middle of the day. See a man in farmer attire walking from the middle of the lane to the gate. Figure he's a farmer who owns said field. Mother agrees. He opens the gate and walks into the field. Me and Mother walk past the house and gate towards woods and bogs, look into the field while walking past the open gate. He's nowhere. The field was wide open with no place to hide or high foliage to be obscured by. Mother looks into the field but isn't fazed. My mother can't remember what she had for breakfast, so no point asking her about this now. Plus, even if this happened today, she's so dismissive of everything that happens, she's not a good person to substantiate the story. Last time I asked her about it, she just nodded her head and agreed with everything I said, since she doesn't really listen to anything anyone says. Story 3 isn't as entertaining as I thought it was, so I'm going to mix it with some other creepy shit regarding the house. Plus, Story 3 doesn't take place at the house, but a couple of miles away. Still in the same county, though. B10 or 11. Go fishing with my father, his brother, and my cousin. Not even a river, it was a shitty, shallow stream at an old bridge. Literally no interest in fishing, it's cold and I want to go home, talk shit with my cousin while our fathers fish. It's summer and the sun has gone down, but it's that twilight hour shit when it's overcast. So once your eyes adjust, you can still see for miles. Cousin is talking, and I see in the distance a figure, not close enough to see if it's male or female, dressed head to toe in white, arms are in the air and moving too fast to be walking. Point it out to my cousin, however the figure is too far away to accurately pinpoint it to someone, like pointing to a specific star in the sky. Don't know if I mention it to father and uncle, chances are they didn't give a shit desu. Also, in my grandmother's bedroom where I saw the hands outside, there is a space behind the door that is perpetually cold and damp. No drafts or anything there. I told my father, and without going into detail, he said it makes sense to him. He's not as skeptical as I am, but even as a 26-year-old boomer, no amount of money will make me spend a night in that house alone. Speaking of spending the night there, I brought my girlfriend up there maybe 6 years ago for our anniversary, and we had the entire house to ourselves for a few days. The 5% of my brain that believed in stuff was of the opinion that whatever was in the house, or even the house itself, had made its peace with me, but didn't like my girlfriend at all. And it wanted her out. I've been in the house at times when doors have slammed shut for what seemed like no reason. TLDR, if I'm not a paranoid man-baby, that house hates outsiders. Some friends and I were hanging out in this park, secluded forest in the middle of nowhere in eastern Ohio, late at night because I heard it was haunted. It has this old stone lock from the 1800s on the side of a tiny river. Supposedly some little girl was buried in it. Anyway, we were hanging out for a few hours on the lock and nothing was happening and it was really late, so we started walking back to the car. Then I said, "You know, it took over an hour to get here, maybe we should look around more." We turned around and immediately heard the craziest, creepiest, most ungodly, horrifying shriek. It was very loud and seemed like no more than 80 feet away. It started off high-pitched, like what you think a screech would sound like, but turned into a gurgling kind of like its throat was being cut. It repeated this many times in quick succession. We obviously got out of there. And no, it was not like any owl any of us had ever heard.
Not sure if spooky or just cool and interesting. Be teen. Be visiting aunt in Russia. Aunt lives in tiny village surrounded by thick forest. Aunt takes me into the forest for mushrooms and berries. On the way there, we pass a small shrine. She tells me that I must pray at the shrine, or the forest. Creatures will not see me as one of their own. She says that there are snakes and bears in the forest, but because of the shrine, she hasn't seen one for 20 years. Teaches me the special prayer and tells me to stand before the shrine and say it while she goes ahead. okboomer.jpg. Don't say the prayer because I'm edgy. The moment I enter the forest, I'm swarmed by mosquitoes and gnats. Literally cannot see in front of me. It's so bad. Decide to grin and bear it. What the fuck, my hands are swelling like balloons. Wish I had picks. I can't even pick berries because my sausage fingers can't bend. I've been bitten plenty, and this has never happened before. Tell Aunt I'm done and I'm going back to the house. She laughs. There's not one single bug on her. On the way back, I almost stepped on an adder. What the fuck, you told me you didn't see any for 20 years. Super ashamed. Lie and tell Aunt that I did say the prayer and I don't know why this is happening. Have to take the bus to the nearest town for allergy meds. Hands still remain swollen for days. Aunt doesn't have a single bite on her.
So what did you learn?
To listen to my elders and not be edgy.
Be me. 15 years old, living in Nicaragua. Semi-rich household, pretty nice and cozy. Live in a compound manor designed by my crazy dad who loves experimenting and investing in wild projects. A door separates the living quarters from the servants, kitchen, dining room, etc. We have motion-based lights everywhere, cameras, locked doors, etc. Been playing on my computer till 3 a.m. summer. Gmod with 180 ping, hell yeah. Get thirsty. Tiptoe my way out of my room, heading towards the divider door. Motion sensor light not working. Use regular lights. Walk towards the locked divider door. Stop hand. Notice through the crack of the door, motion light is on in the kitchen and is flickering. Means something is shuffling back and forth to block the light behind it at the door. Feel uneasy. Turn off the lights to see if I'm just imagining it. I'm not. Still debating whether I should unlock and open it. Very thirsty. See knob slowly turn back and forth. Start staring really intently. Again to make sure I'm really seeing this. It starts turning harder and rapidly. Not loudly though, as if a person is trying to jimmy it or just desperately trying to open it. Speak out in Spanish and English. Get the fuck out of my house. See shadow go back and forth. Turning knob stops. No one exits the home, from windows at least. Suddenly the door is being pressed on, like as if someone is trying to lean through or onto the door. The doorknob starts twisting quickly and quietly again. Freak out and dish out curse words telling whoever is outside to fuck off. Eventually the knob stops, door relaxes, and the figure from the door crack goes away again. I went to wake up my mum. Dad was in Miami at the time. She's pissed but gets slightly more serious when I tell her I think someone tried breaking into the house. She grabs a revolver and uses the radio to contact one of the guards in our compound. One of the maids comes over to check in as well as the guard. The maid stays with us, just keeping company as the guard looks over the outside where the garden and main doors to the house are. After a while, the guard says he didn't find any doors unlocked, including the maid's, since the maids have a private mini apartment home that is locked from within the main home. He did find a lot of the kitchen doors unlocked and had no explanation for it. Everyone goes to bed as we're all tired and just sick of it. I still don't know what caused it. Latent psychic abilities. Someone living in the walls or on roof. Not necessarily the most paranormal thing, but certainly gave me a jostle and made me lock my room door ever since.
18 years ago, my dad and I went to see the Alamo for his 50th birthday. He's a big American history buff, specifically Old West stuff. I was 13 at the time. For one of the nights, he booked the King Ranch suite at the Menger Hotel. Captain Richard King, founder of the King Ranch, had died in that room and supposedly haunted it. And my dad saw it mentioned on a TV ghost show and thought it would be cool to stay there. They still have a lot of the original furniture in the room, and even the bed is the same bed frame the guy died in. It's cool but creepy at the same time. Anyways, we spend the day at the Alamo and have a lot of fun, and eventually go back to the hotel for the night, which I'm nervous about because it's finally started to sink in that I have to sleep in a haunted room. My dad picks up on this and starts half screwing with me. He says he'll give me $200 if I sleep on the antique couch in the main room. So when we finally go to bed, I'm freaking out and can't sleep. I just kind of lay there looking around for a while. All of a sudden, my dad goes, "Anon, what was that noise?" I'm starting to freak out, but then he starts making cartoony ghost noises and stuff and laughs and says he was just messing with me. He does this a couple more times over the next 10 minutes or so, and I fall for it every time, 'cause I'm a dumb, scared kid. But after he does it the last time, he's laughing, and all of a sudden it sounds like somebody picked up his suitcase and slung it across the room full force. Everything in the room instantly goes dead silent. I'm panicking, and after a few seconds, I tell him to quit messing around. In an equally freaked out tone, he goes, "That wasn't me." After a few seconds, he turns the light on, and his suitcase is exactly where he left it on the dresser on the opposite side of the room. He didn't continue after that, and we eventually fell asleep without further incident.
Laying in bed one night on the 3rd floor of the house, just browsing 4chan and various other internet cesspits, hear that nauseating sound of a distant plane fast approaching. It's getting closer, and it's loud. Sounds like a fighter jet. Actually, it sounds like it's right above the house and dropping altitude fast. This is what Hiroshimans and Nagasakians must have heard on that fateful day. It legit becomes deafening, like I can't even hear myself think. I drop to the floor and cover my ears, expecting a bomb impact or something. I hear it then immediately stop directly above the house and linger there. Look out the window to see some triangle, helicopter, mech bullshit Gundam wing I don't know what, with all the colors of the rainbow flashing neon. And it was putting out heat. I mean, my room felt like an oven from this thing. In an instant, it rockets off to the northeast, at a speed no earthly craft should be able to travel. As in, it's there 1 second and just gone the next. Run down to the 1st floor to ask Dad what the fuck just happened. Yes, I'm a 35-year-old NEET who lives with his dad. Boomer Dad was still half asleep and says he thought he heard something, but it must have been a truck on the highway. The next day, there are shingles covering the driveway. Roof has been absolutely damaged by something, even melted in spots from an unknown heat source. Roofer Dad calls in, says he's never seen anything like it. Will cost thousands to repair. I sit Dad down and tell him exactly what I saw.
He just dismisses it as me having a dream and says it just must have been a bad storm that night. That night was literally 70 degrees and still the entire night. Not a drop of precipitation. Dad says I have to start contributing a quarter of my monthly disability check to the new roof because you live here too. Oh, and there is an army base about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, to the, you guessed it, northeast of where I live.
Be 8-year-old me. My parents divorced. Mum and I moved to Grandma's house. I feel lonely and sad all the time. The very first night there, a huge storm breaks out. Wooden house makes all kinds of spooky noises. Ask Mum if I can sleep with her. She tells me to grow up and go back to my room. Can't bother Grandma because she is not at home. She went to visit one of her old friends who is very sick. My room is on the other side of the house upstairs. On my way back there, I turn every light on to feel less scared. Suddenly, I realise that somehow there's less light than there was supposed to be. I look behind me and I see a dark ball floating. Everything around it is darker. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I ran up the stairs screaming, not knowing if I was being followed. I closed the door and went to hide under my bed. Eternal seconds pass and I hear my mum talking from the first floor. Why were you screaming, Anon? Are you okay? Why are all the lights on? I was worried that the thing could still be around and harm my mum, so I stormed out of my room and told her what I saw. She didn't say anything about it, but offered to sleep together. I never saw something like that again.
Another story, somewhere in between unlikely coincidences and paranormal. I need to be vague, because revealing specific names of places or describing them could reveal me to someone with access to personnel files or even unit diaries. Obviously, being a poster on 4chan, or someone that even acknowledges they could hallucinate, could be problematic for some people. So let's all agree the following are lies, even though I might be lying about lying. After slugging it out for a couple months in a city with insurgents, we were all pretty beat up, and lots of guys had gone home with holes in them. Insurgents were also killing civilians for various real or imagined transgressions against the jihad. Someone had the idea to send us all out to the beautiful Iraqi countryside to get skin cancer all day and stay up all night. Please understand that as a grunt, 5 hours of sleep is the norm. This has different effects on people. Some get weird, some get dumb, and some are fine. I got weird. One of our tasks was to patrol the banks of the river at night. We were hidden by date groves and thick vegetation. Locals did all sorts of things, mundane and evil. The local chapter of agitated Iraqis with Russian weapons had been firing rockets and mortars at us from the opposite side of the river from us at night for a couple weeks. Someone thought if we snuck guys across the river at night without vehicles, we could hide for a day or two unseen by anyone and ambush the insurgents. So we crossed the river on these rubber boats on a moonless night and hide in a swamp. No one slept until dawn because no one knew if we had been spotted. Of course, some Iraqi farmers show up right after dawn prayer, and we are laying in this swamp all day hiding. The locals leave, and guys start getting rashes and skin irritation from the fetid water we were in. The day started retreating, and with it my ability to avoid seeing shit that no one else saw. We finally were free to leave the swamp, so we head across a road and some fields to a low, flat hill right by a bend in the river. It was a well-known spot because downriver bodies tended to collect by a bridge, and sometimes guys in boats would shoot at our trucks as we crossed the bridge. There was a chance the insurgent night crew at use would use it to shoot rockets and mortars at us because they could hide behind it. They had done the same using other hills. At this point, our rashes are becoming a medical concern, and we all strip down to our green nylon underwear, nicknamed Silkies, with our body armor, ammo, and night vision on, trying to let our skin breathe. Already I'm tripping out, seeing shadows change shape in the horizon. Long after the light had faded, began flashing neon colors and the scattered lights of distant houses mixed with the stars, making faces and letters from what I perceived to be unknown languages. One eye looking through night vision and the other bare. They collaborated against my mind. These hallucinations were kept at bay by whispered conversation with my buddy. The night went on, both of us struggling to stay awake and watchful while we sat in wait for some opportunity to avenge interrupted sleep and shut down an enemy mortar team. About 2 a.m., we stiffened, heard a distant thump, 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 followed by a plop, plop, boom, and the sounds of our M16s and other friendly weapons working something over. It died off in a couple seconds, and a minute later, our leader reported that 2 trucks carrying mortars and a dozen masked men had met their end. Good stuff, we thought. Mission accomplished, now we can hopefully get some sleep. A plan was hatched to only have 5 guys awake, 2 walking around, 3 forming a triangle around those sleeping. Lucky me, I was first to stay awake, so I took my corner of the triangle near the gentle cliff over the river and promptly started seeing more distorted visions through my night vision. The roving sentry visited me once and informed me that I would not be relieved because in a little while we were going to get picked up and driven home. My mind wandered thinking about girls I knew at home. This is a terrible mistake when trying to stay awake, and I started oscillating in and out of awakeness. Alertness was long gone. Then I staggered forward and caught myself. I was about 2 feet from the edge of the cliff, and taking 10 paces back, I resolved to not die like a sleepy idiot, but have the discipline not to sit down. Looking at my old-fashioned watch through night vision, 10 minutes had passed since the sentry had been by. I looked around and saw the others on watch. The thoughts came back, and quickly I was bebopping my way back to the cliff, half asleep, when I saw a female form materialize in front of me. It was spastic, but also graceful, colorful local dress, and she slowly moved my way as I half-stepped forward, dancing in my own sleepwalker's way. Her eyes made contact with mine, and it felt so damn good to be dancing with a woman that was into me. Once we were dancing properly, we got very close, and we touched hands palm to palm. She stamped her feet, and we moved our torsos like reeds in the wind, roots not moving. Her cloth morphed into different colors and textures, while speaking to me in a language I did not know. I felt happy and warm. She moved behind me and grasped my chest, whispering, guiding me as my feet moved. It felt like we danced for 30 minutes, and then I tripped. My ass hit the ground. My dance partner vanished, regaining my bearing. I was about 15 paces from the cliff. I had moved backwards, looking around confused and to see if anyone saw me, and in my night vision the backs of the other guards. No one saw me being a complacent and terrible guard. I managed to stay alert until the trucks showed up just before dawn. A little while had been 2 hours. The whole experience was nice as far as half sleeping on watch goes, but a bit terrifying considering how close I got to the cliff. Young me was above all that evil spirit shit because I knew it was all bullshit. If it was a magical thing that I had danced with, it could have lured me over the cliff as easy as lightning makes thunder. Chalking it up to being weak-minded, I paid it no mind, except how I almost went over the cliff before my dancing lesson. The next day, we are patrolling around the same area looking for snipers and kids to gently throw Jolly Ranchers at. There was some radio chatter about someone needing a body bag. We had one in our vehicle, so we drove down the road and stopped by the hill. We met up with some local Iraqi police that we respected and trusted less than the local insurgents. Me and some other guys walked down the riverbank with them, knowing that we are going to have a floater on our hands, and as a heavy smoker, I did not retch easily from the smells that death and the turgid river made. Bodies bloat and decompose fast in that river. We fished one out with a grappling hook, swollen and nibbled below the waterline. These were always memorable because of the smell and disfigurement of rot. Sometimes they were obvious gunshot deaths or decapitations. Others, like this one, appeared to be a drowning because of the bound hands and the rice sack placed over the torso. We gloved and gas masked up and got the body into the black bag, put it in the back of an Iraqi police truck, and continued with the day slightly smelling of death. Word got back a couple days later to us that the body was a kidnapping victim, a female Iraqi college student being held for ransom. It really messed with me. Pretty sure it was just a coincidence, but I have suspicions like with shadow people and other stuff. That is about it. Sleep deprivation hallucinations.
Me, 7 years old. Staying a few nights at my mom's friend's new house on our way to South Florida. Mom's friend is going through marriage troubles that she says started when they moved to the new place. Later find out her husband was being verbally and physically abusive to both her and their daughters. First night at the house, I go to the entertainment room after dinner. There's a piano in there, which I go to play as I had been taking lessons. Think I see someone watching me from my peripheral vision. Turn and see a small dark shadow scale the wall really fast, jumping from the floor to the ceiling. Immediately tell my mom, who is devoutly religious. Mom prays for protection over me and sends me upstairs to bed. Don't sleep very well. Have a nightmare that a tiger is chasing me through the jungle until it catches me and eats me alive. Wake up in cold sweat. Need bathroom. Stumble through the dark bedroom. Find my way to the door. Get spooked by the creaky hinges. Turn on every light I can find on the way to the bathroom. Weird, uneasy feeling. Afraid to look in the mirror in the bathroom. Shuffle back to my room, turning off lights along the way. Pass the staircase. Look down the staircase. 6-foot-tall dark shadow figure standing on the bottom step. Start crying and screaming. Her husband comes out of his room by the staircase, tells me to stop crying, and it was probably just a bad dream without even asking what I saw. Look at his arm while he's hugging me. Tiger tattoo freaks me out even more. I think they divorced the year after that, but thinking back on that story still gives me the chills.
Go out to smoke. Something tugs on my hood. Must be my imagination. Keeps up for a couple nights. Each time it pulls harder. It finally chokes me. Ask for help on /x/. Get shit advice and stupid jokes. Offer it a cigarette. LMAO. Tell it to fuck off, fucking keck. Oh well. /x/ is worthless. Can't smoke on the back patio at night now. Go out front to smoke for about 2 weeks. Try the patio again. Choked by thing yanking on my hood. Tell neighbor at my apartment. He says he used to get shoved into the glass door when coming home from work. He always walks around to come through the front now. Something on my apartment patio really doesn't like people out there at night.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.